Hello. I hope that you are as excited as I am that it is day 14. 2 weeks of using RPM every day. I feel stronger. I feel more directed. And as you guys know, there have been moments of overwhelm. So today was get my weekly plan in place. And I'd love to say I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And I was the first hour. And then I got a little distracted. We went to church, came back, and I wanted to obsess on it. But then I was realizing how much time it was taking. And what I decided was I was going to do it in the paper version and really stick to like what Tony says. So I have the Rapid Planning Method book from his series, and this weekly planning process starts on page 48. And you'll see these little on the other side over here, these boxes. Okay. And so I went through that process, and I'm not going to lie, it took a really long time. But as Tony says, that's what's important. And so I kind of wanted to lead you through that. I did it on paper. Still a lot that needs to go into the digital. But guess what? I know what I need to do for my week, which is the whole point. Tony says over and over again, the software is great. The software is a tool, but the whole point is, what are your outcomes? So you figure out your vision, the ultimate vision, get reunited with your ultimate vision and purpose. And I had an epiphany when I went into mine. I was like, I went to my standard, and then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? If I dig deeper under that, there's a little more. And so I got even clearer on that. I put in my purpose. I'm like, yes, this is me. This is who I am. And then he was like, what do you want this week? What is your vision for Monday through Sunday of this coming week? And so I wrote that down. I'm like, yeah, these are the things that really are going on right now. So what's my purpose for the week? And I wrote that down. I want to stay focused. I want to be on track, right? I'm charging myself up. Who am I? And I love this question because this is a role question, but all of a sudden I realized it was about my weekly plan. Who am I this week? How can I take all of those roles and turn them into something? And what was fun was I picked a role. I was like weekend warrior or weekly warrior. And then I was like, that just sounds boring and not what I want to be. And so I changed it up and fell in love with that role. And I'm like, yes. And then who do you want to be this week? And I wrote the queen of everything. And I want to approach it that way. Like I want to be sitting on my throne and things are coming to me and I'm making decisions, like just with the turn of my hand, I'm like, yes or no. And I know that sounds silly, but it works for me because there's so much of me that wants to get deep into everything, like writing everything down on paper and doing all that stuff and analyzing and worrying. And I just want to make a quick decision. Yes, no, world doesn't end. I'm still in charge. Life is good. But here's the thing. This was a lot of a process this week. Then I came back and I crossed off everything and I wrote anything. And that was a key distinction for me because it's anything I want. I don't want to be the queen of every problem that exists in the world. I want to be able to pick and choose what I'm doing. And I loved that. So that's really good. And then he goes through a couple more questions. You can read them in the book if you want. If you don't have the book, comment to me and I will write them into the comments. But then he said, get in touch with your categories. And so I literally went into, and I'll pull up the software now. I went into each category and looked at what were my purposes here? What are the actions that I already have in there? What are the blocks or the projects that I have attached to each thing? And I do want to point out, I'm going to show you here, I don't have them in the order right now that I want them in. this enjoyable life leader needs to move down. And I left it like this. I knew it was coming up. I wanted to show you guys how to do that because it's super simple. You go into your week and you can go weekly capture or weekly plan, whichever one works for you. I'll go into weekly plan. And these are the bubbles along the side here. And you just grab one and you move it down. And then when you go back to your categories, boom, they have them in the order that you want. I mean, you can move them any way you want. So now I'm where I want it. And I love it because these are my personals. These are my professionals. And then this is my catch-all, like all the stuff that frustrates me in life that I still need to do, whether I want to or not. And then this is the one that you saw earlier in the week where Tony told me to make one just for my morning routine. So I'm experiment down there because I have this one for keeping the temple healthy. But point being, I looked at each category, reminded myself what role I was in those categories, and I wrote down like what's important this week in those categories. And then I looked at all my projects, what's important in my projects. And this is where I started to feel a little bit of, but remember that like when we go to our calendar, the first place we're supposed to dig in every day, and we scroll to the bottom, we have our 3 to 5 to thrive. Now, these happen to be the same 3 to 5 that I put in coming out of RPM. Now, there's nothing to stop me from coming in here and putting 8-4, and I can start it at 8-5, 24, and I can put my 3 to 5 to thrive for the week. They're related to the ones up above in most of the cases, but there's a few others that aren't. And so you have leeway here. I love that. And then I went into the weekly view. That's where you go next. You go to your week, and that's where I'm going to go and plug in. Now that I have it on paper, now that, and you know, if paper in a pinch, right? I don't, you won't be able to see this, but I just wrote out my RPM blocks for my 3 to 5 to thrive. And now I'm going to transfer it into the computer, but I know that I have this to take me through the week. So if you're getting hung up on technology, this has happened so many times in my life. I learned that I use it as an excuse. And so it's easy to say, oh, it's technology. I couldn't figure it out, or I got stuck, or whatever. That to me does not get me where I want to go. And so as a result, I have had to push myself and not allow technology to be something that holds me back. So this is a great way for me to just be like, I have my week planned out. These are the important things. The 100, what it feels like, other things that I need to do this week, they're all captured. They can be chunked. I can figure it out. Maybe when I'm in a lull next week where I am out of focus, I can just be like, okay, if I don't want to focus on these, then I've got some time to put the other stuff in. No extra time, right? I should be focused on things that matter. Focus on the ones that are the most important right away. Then the perfection, the systems, the day-to-day stuff can all fit in. That's the sand that Tony was talking about. The rocks are the 3 to 5 outcomes that 3 to 5 to thrive that I'm working towards this week. And I can stay focused there and have the most amazing week possible. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope that this is going really well for you. I got a surprise to tell you about, but I'll tell you tomorrow. So don't not watch tomorrow. Watch tomorrow too, because it's going to be really good. Day 15, almost in the books.